Hey guys, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Tim Kidwell Outdoors. Happy New Year, 2018. It's finally here. Boy, did 2017 fly by. I need you guys to do me a quick favor though. Click the subscribe button. If you're brand new, give this video a like. It's only going to help me out. I'm doing a 250 subscriber giveaway, and that right there is just the best way to do it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get this video started. So we're going to talk about my 5 rods that I would personally use every time in a tournament. So my first choice is going to be the spinnerbait. Why? It's because it's one of the easiest things you can use. All you got to do is throw it out there and reel it back. How I personally like to throw it is if I'm right above grass, hydrilla, or if I'm near lily pads. It just works the best, and that's where the fish are going to be hiding out underneath. And that right there, it's definitely one of my favorite rods to use. The rod that I have my spinnerbait matched up on is a 6'9" medium extra fast rod. And you need to have that extra tip, so that right there will allow it to load up when you're casting it, and when it comes to setting the hook, it creates delay so you don't rip the hook right out of the fish's mouth. The line that I like to rig up my spinnerbait with is 12 to 14 pound test line, only because I don't want a line that'll break if I cast the spinnerbait out and set the hook on a nice fish. The reel that I have my spinnerbait matched up on is a loose speed spool. It's a 6/8-to-1 setup, and that allows me to get that bait casted very, very far out there, but I'm able to get it back to the boat fairly quickly, and if I need to slow it down, I'll be able to do that with this reel. So my next rod that I would highly suggest using is a frogging rod. And the reason why I suggest a frogging rod is because if you're going to be fishing down here in Florida, there's going to be pads all over the place, there's going to be moss. So as soon as the frog hits the water and you move it right across that mat, you know that some kind of fish is going to be hidden underneath it, and it's going to pop up and it's going to blow up. So let me go ahead and show you the setup for it. So the rod that I have my frog set up on is a 7.3 heavy fast action rod. And that right there has got so much backbone to be allowed to get that bait all the way out there and set the hook if it's really, really far out there on top of that moss. The line of choice is what I use is 65 pound test braid. I never want to use anything less than 65. You could go with 50, but I like to have that assurance to know that I'll be able to set that hook and that's not going to snap. And of course you have to have it rigged up on a nice reel. Something like this, 7/3-to-1. It's a Laguna 100 HS, and it's made by Dawa, one of my favorite brands. So my next rod bait choice that I would recommend is a crankbait. Any kind of crankbait for the type of fishing that you're going to be using, but I normally like to fish shallow, so I'm going to have a square bill crankbait. The type of rod that I have this square bill crankbait on is a 7.1 medium mod fast action rod. And the same thing with the spinnerbait. It's going to allow you to cast that out there far because it loads up really, really well, and when you have to set the hook, it definitely allows that delay so you don't rip the hooks right out of the fish's mouth. The reel that I have it rigged up on is a Quantum C-Code, and it is a 6/3-to-1, so it allows me to get that bait in very, very quickly whenever I need it to, or I can just slow it down, keep it in the strike zone a little bit more. The type of line that I have on this rod is 12 pound test fluorocarbon, and the reason why I go with a little bit lighter line is that way that keeps the bait down there a little bit lower than usual. The higher the pound test, the further up the bait is going to stay, and you want that bait to get down there far, so I go with the lighter line. Alright guys, so my fourth rod and bait choice is going to be my worm rod. It is my #1 favorite rod, and it's the rod that I actually use the most. So the type of rod that I have my worm rod set up on is a 7.1 medium heavy fast action rod. And what that does is it allows me to get that bait out there far and allows me to get it back in there with ease. No matter if I'm in any type of cover, I know that I'll be able to get my bait back. The type of line that I'm using right now, this is 15 pound test fluorocarbon by P-Line, and the type of reel that I have is a Pro Qualifier by Bass Pro. It's a 7/1-to-1, so that way I can actually have that worm come back as fast as I need to, if I needed to recast, or just slow it down whenever I need to. But I always like to have a fast action reel just in case. Okay, those are all of my 4 rods made by FX. Those are all of the Extreme Angler series. I'll leave the link in the description for those. And this, my last rod and bait setup, it's not an FX, it is a Bill Dance Quantum rod, but this is my Whopper Plopper rod. Alright guys, so this next and final rod is a 7-foot Bill Dance Select Quantum rod, and it's a medium heavy action. And that right there allows me to cast that Whopper Plopper far out there. The type of reel that I have is actually my very first bait casting reel. It's a Shakespeare Agility reel. It's a 6/3-to-1. It's a little bit slower than my worm reel, but it definitely does the job. The type of line that I have rigged up with this Whopper Plopper is 20-pound test braid. Why? Because braid floats, and you want that Whopper Plopper to stay above the water. I know that monofilament floats also, but braid is a lot stronger and it definitely doesn't have any stretch to it. So that allows the hooks to stay in the fish's mouth, and I know it's going to be set perfectly. Alright guys, well that is my 5 rod to bait setups that I use in tournaments or when I'm just fishing for fun with buddies when we're pond hopping and all that other cool stuff. So I hope you guys did enjoy this. Hopefully you guys will get out in the water and maybe use some of these ideas. Definitely check out FX Custom Rods. Again, the link will be in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and leave a comment below. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for my first time catching a sea trout. It was my first time taking my kayak out in saltwater, and I just had a freaking blast with Dinsmore Outdoors. And definitely go check out his channel. He just reached 1,000 subscribers. Alrighty, other than that, see you guys later.